kind of taking place at the same time that they're investigating the investigation into the shooting.
Yeah, well, outside agencies, which is the key here. I think that there's a real argument, though, that, you know, making that leap to this is a horrible, nefarious inside job, that is a high bar, to Ashley's point. Prosecutorial misconduct is way up there, and I think you can make a poor argument, but an argument that they looked at the evidence, they looked at the video, and they saw something that the rest of us didn't see, and they decided that they couldn't win this case in this county. I know it sounds horrible, it sounds ridiculous, but I do think they have that the odds of a prosecutor going down very slim. I wouldn't hold your breath.
Yeah, Chairman, I look at it and I say, you know, when you have a conflict of interest, you step away from the case as soon as possible. But with the conflict of interest, it seems that each of the first two prosecutors were taking some level of action in the way the case was handled, something that they needed to recuse themselves from.
Right, Vinny, but they both adamantly deny it now. There were even calls for their resignation to step down from office, but Jackie Johnson's been very clear from the beginning that on the day of the shooting, that the investigators, the detectives, called two of her assistant DAs. They both immediately allegedly told them that they were going to step down and recuse. She referred it to Barnhill, who the next day gave his opinion about the case. But that's where the Attorney General, Chris Carr, has the problem, because he was not aware when he handed the case over to Barnhill that Barnhill had already told the police that there was no grounds for arrest, or he wouldn't have handed it over to Barnhill. So that's where we get all of this, and potentially there's an investigation at the federal level against these prosecutors as well. Who knows what may happen.
Yeah, it gets ugly very quickly. All right, Chandler, let's talk about this text message that came out today. From December 20th. This is shaking a lot of people up. What can you tell us about it?
Yeah, this is a text message that an officer who responded to Larry English. Now, he's the owner of the property under construction where Ahmaud Arbery was alleged to be seen minutes before this chase happened, February 23rd. And there are a series of surveillance videos over the months since last October who may be Ahmaud Arbery stopping at this home under construction. Well, on December 20th, Larry English called because he gets these alerts on his cell phone when his motion sensor cameras on his property go off. He doesn't live there, he lives somewhere else, so he gets alerts. Well, these text messages were sent from the officer at the police department that he called and talked to, an Officer Rash. And the surveillance video that actually alerted him on this day was one where a couple, Caucasian male and female, are seen entering the home under construction while Larry English calls police. Anyways, the officer eventually texts Larry English this text message. There's the video now, the couple that enters the home that Larry English called police about. This is apparently an ongoing problem at this property, Vinny. So he receives a text message on December 20th, 9:40 a.m. It says, "Your neighbor at 229 Satilla Drive is Greg McMichael. Greg is retired law enforcement and also a retired investigator from the DA's office. He said, please call him day or night when you get action on your camera." And he goes on to actually give him Greg McMichael's phone number. These are newly released from the attorney of Larry English.
This, you know, there's a lot of ways to read this, but let's go around and get some reaction. I mean, my reaction is that somehow, some way, it's like Greg Michael is now out of retirement, and his big case is solving the, you know, the big trespassing that's taking place at the construction site caper. Ashley, I don't understand this. I mean, why are police passing the buck?
I think you could look at it as passing the buck. I think you could look at it as, hey, Mr. English, there's a guy who lives 2 doors down who's got a lot of experience in investigating. He was one of us, and he said he'd be happy to help you out as a neighbor. I mean, I have a police officer, a former police officer who lives down the street from me, and I've asked him a few favors before, and when he was retired. So I'm not so sure that's so indicting. I got to be honest. I just think neighbors look out for neighbors, and since there's been so much activity at Mr. English's property under construction, by the way, the neighborhood had been sharing a lot of these videos through the Next Door app. You know what the Next